So today's session is all about resume writing and online applications and all of the sort of questions we get asked frequently about these things. So if at any point you have any questions, please share them with us in the chat, and we want to make this as interactive as possible. So before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and their continuing connection to our community. We pay respects to them, their culture, their elders, both past and present. I'll start by introducing myself. I may have met some of you last year. I'm Afia. I'm currently working as a cloud solution architect at Microsoft in security, and I'm very excited to be hosting today's session. We'll start off with a few reminders about the MSA, and then we'll go into an overview of the application process. After that, we'll have a panel discussion with our lovely panelists who are here today, and we'll finish up with a Q&A. So the first reminder is about the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador Program. If you do want to become a student ambassador, there's a link on the screen to apply. If you don't know what it is, the program is designed for students that are passionate about technology and eager to share their knowledge with other people. It's a great opportunity to develop your technical skills, but your leadership skills as well. You get to work on a bunch of projects, set up community events, make video tutorials. So it's a really good opportunity to develop your soft skills and your technical skills. And I'd highly encourage anyone who is interested to apply. I also want to highlight the Microsoft Student Hub. It contains a ton of free resources, some of which are pictured here. A key call out I'll make is the GitHub Student Developer Pack. It is something I personally used as a student, and it contains so many free resources. I'd highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in learning more about software development. The next thing is all our sessions are recorded, so you can find all of these videos on Michelle's YouTube channel. So please like, subscribe, and you can catch up on all the sessions there. There's also a link at the bottom to go there. We also have a Microsoft Source newsletter, which has curated content for the developer community. If you're interested in learning about new technologies or opportunities to connect with other developers, it's a really good source. You'll also find information about events like hackathons, technical training sessions, conferences. So I'll just leave the QR code up for a few seconds, just in case you want to take a picture of that. I'm going to move on. And we have a few more QR codes up here as well. So the left QR code is for our Facebook group, the right QR code is for our LinkedIn group, and it's a great way to keep up with what events we're having, when they're happening, so you can attend the ones that we've got going on. And lastly, we also have some really exciting in-person events coming up. In Melbourne, we have coming up one on the 18th of March, and we'll be doing role deep dives so you can see what different roles are available at Microsoft and what they do. So highly recommend joining our meetup group so you can keep up with those as well. I think I'm going to move on to the next slide, but if any of you do want me to go back at any point, let me know and I can. And now we're going to get into the session. So I'd like to start by thanking all the panelists for being here today. And I might ask you all to introduce yourselves, just your name, your role, what you do at Microsoft, that sort of thing. Could we please start with Izzy?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Izzy. I'm the early in profession recruiter here at Microsoft. I'm based in Sydney. I joined in October last year, so I'm quite new, but I've been working in kind of this tech early career space for about 6 years, mostly at Google and Atlassian. Yeah, in my time, I think I've seen probably over like 10,000 resumes at this point, and I'm kind of a weirdo in the sense that I love resumes and writing resumes and looking at resumes. So it's a very like niche interest. So I guess it aligns with the job that I do. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. We just want to create like a comfortable space where we can offer some advice and some help. And yes, outside of work, I am addicted to going to cafes and I spend all my money on iced coffees and matches. So that's a bit about me, but thank you for organizing. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the session and find something valuable.
Izzy, could I get Lamia to go next?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Lamia Roberts, and I'm a senior recruiter at Microsoft. I manage the industry hiring space, primarily for sales and marketing organizations. I'm based in Melbourne, and I'm thrilled to be here and join this group of young minds. Looking forward to sharing and learning from all of you. And in terms of my career journey, I've spent, I think, more than half my career with Microsoft in India as well as Australia. So total of about 13 years at Microsoft. And in terms of what I do on my, in my family life or some personal facts about me, I've got 3 daughters, 10, 9, and 2. So a lot of my time is spent, just hanging out with them, getting them to do their homework, going on walks, going to cafes. We like to, just try out new food. So that's a little about me. Over to you, Rami.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name's Rami Ibrahim. I'm a product manager at Microsoft, and I manage a local team in the governance and compliance space. I've been in IT or the industry for about 20 years plus, roughly, and all various roles. Been at Microsoft specifically for about 2.5 years. Outside of work, I'm a dad of twin girls, have a fluffy dog, and do have a unhealthy addiction to coffee. So we'll be hitting up Izzy for cafe recommendations after this. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, for those introductions. I'll start with the first question I wanted to ask, which is, Izzy, could you take us through at a high level sort of what happens from the moment a potential intern or graduate hire submits their online application to so from then to getting an interview offer or whatever that result may be? Who kind of sees the application? What kind of decision making happens?
Sure. I will try to explain it in simplest and easiest terms possible. So we have the internship, which runs over the summer. It's only during the summer. I know some other companies do like a winter internship, but at Microsoft, it'll be over the summer, so from November to February. So I think when you think about the year going forward, timing is important, deadlines. So for that summer internship, we will open applications in September. So just keep an eye out on the kind of careers website. That's where we will post the job, and that's where you would generally apply. For the graduate program, if that's more what you're looking for, we will open around the same time, but it will be for the following year. So with graduate recruitment, we recruit 1 year in advance. Eligibility is also important to consider. So interns, you have to be in your penultimate year. So I don't know, that word throws people off. They're like, what does it mean? It just means you're not in your final year. So you're in the year before your final year. If you're in a 4-year degree, that would mean 3rd year. So it just changes depending on the length of your degree. But to do the internship, you need to go back and do at least 1 semester of studies. So I think that's important to consider when you're putting your application in for Microsoft and also other companies, just to make sure that you hit that first gate, which is eligibility. And then for the graduate role, being in your final year of study, so that you can finish your studies at the end of that year and then start with us. It's not really defined on like the start date for the graduate roles, but it would be around February-ish of that year. The recruitment process for interns and graduates is quite similar. I'll talk to kind of the engineering internship roles. So the process includes resume, and then there's an online coding test. If you've heard of HackerRank, that's what we'll be using in the future. With the resume, our team, the early in profession team, would be the ones to see all the applications, and then it would be open for a couple of weeks. So I would just put my application on there, and then my team would take a couple of weeks to review. And then you would move to you would do the coding test as well and see from there who would progress to interviews. For intern roles, for engineering, there are 2 technical interviews. Once you do those interviews, there will be the offer process, and then there'll be a bit of a wait time until the internship starts. We have, per se, like non-engineering roles here at Microsoft. I don't know if this is very obvious, but the Microsoft Customer and Partner Solutions roles, it's similar. So the process is resume. There will be a phone interview by someone in my team, and then the only difference is that there's 3 interviews. So engineering, there's 2. For acronym is MCAPS, it's 3 interviews, and then offer, and then onboarding. For graduate roles, the process is the same, but the only thing is that there's always 3 rounds of interviews. So, you know, it's a graduate role, there's an extra round of interviews. So I would just say, take it 1 step at a time. That's my advice. It can be quite overwhelming to think, oh, I have to do this, this, and this. And it's kind of like a marathon, not a sprint, when you're going through these type of recruitment processes. So yeah, high level, that's the recruitment process that we have here. And I can talk to kind of tips and stuff later on in the panel.
Thanks, Izzy. I think we have a question in the chat, which was if someone's doing a 4.5 degree, just to confirm the penultimate year would be the 4th year?
Yeah, so I think like for these like funny ones where it's like, oh, I have like 4 in like 1 subject, 4 in this, I just say it's like you just have to be returning to uni for additional like semester. Does that make sense? Like it doesn't have to be at T-1 in a sense. Cool, thank you, Nama.
Thanks for that, Izzy. With the next question, I might ask Rami to start us off. What I wanted to ask is, when you're looking at an applicant's resume, what are you looking for, and what do you think makes one stand out, specifically for interns or graduates?
Yeah, it's good questions. I think particularly intern and grad resumes are the hardest to look at, because when we're hiring on potential and growth, not years of experience. So seeing the ability for that person to be well-rounded, extracurricular activities, anything they've done within their degree that's of note, if they've done any work experience initially, that would also be looked at very closely as well. But also, like, outside of just the typical thing of work experience, having a look at things in terms of their interests, their hobbies, and what the culture fit might be is something that I would also value just as much in terms of evaluating a resume.
Thanks for that. I'm just wondering, so when you talk about assessing culture fit based on a resume, what kind of things sort of stand out to you as this might indicate a good culture fit? What does that look like?
A good follow-up question. I think for me, the main thing is that that person has got some drive. So if within their degree, they're joining their relative engineering club in their degree, being, people that the standouts from the top of my head, there are some that would have headed up a interest group at the university, particular technology, particular area, or just a social community group within the university. We focus on diversity and inclusion, so anything in that space as well is really interesting for us from a culture fit, because it's not always just by hiring the best skill, it's also understanding what you bring to Microsoft as a whole person. And that's what we're hiring on that basis, because we don't hire you just based on your merits alone. So that's what I mean in terms of culture fit. These things that you might do outside of your typical, I go to my subjects, I pass my degree, etc. It's the well-roundedness factor and any indication of what you're like as a person and how that would be as a culture fit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I might open this question up to Lamia as well. From a recruiter perspective, how would you answer this question, which was, what are you looking for in a resume and what do you think makes one stand out?
Yeah, for me, it's also the kind of the choice of words that they use in the resume. If it resonates with the culture that Microsoft talks about, like we talk about growth mindset, we want. And when we evaluate candidates, we don't want know-it-alls, we want learn-it-alls. So if they have showcased that in their resume, that they are learning a new skill, or they've got additional certifications, or they are part of a certain community on LinkedIn or GitHub, they're contributing to certain technology platforms, how they keep abreast with changing technology trends. So that kind of shows growth mindset as well. And when it's a clean and crisp resume, there's it's a direct and easy to read. So that's, I think, a standout when I'm looking at resumes from a culture fit as well.
Thanks for that. I'll open up the next question to all of you. My question is, what is your top tip for building a strong resume? And when I say building, I really mean writing the resume rather than the experiences that you put in. What would you say you've observed works really well?
I can start, Afia, on that. For me, I think keeping it simple and clear is, I think, a major point. Sometimes people use too many colors in their resume. It goes through an applicant tracking system. It's not clear to read, or there's too many columns in the resume, which takes away from the work that they've put in or what they want to highlight. So just having a very clear objective statement, a summary of skills, experience in reverse chronological order, education, and where their interest lies and their certifications. I think that would be a very clear way to look at the resume, because we're scanning through hundreds of resume at any given point in time. So if we have to search and look for bits and pieces of information, it kind of takes away from the resume. So just having it clear and crisp helps that way.
I'll probably just add on to that. So when I look at resumes, they've already been filtered. So I've got that benefit of the amazing work already done by the recruitment team. The main thing I would note is, just like Lamia touched on, don't make it too busy, don't overwhelm the person. because you need to understand how much time is given initially to go, is this worth delving deeper in, or should I move on to the next resume? The other aspect is, and I'll give you an analogy, when you go to a news website with 15 columns, ads, and it's just busy, you're really not focused. If you give a nice, clean resume with just a few areas to focus on, so when you first look at the resume, where do you want them to focus on? What do you want them to read first? What are the key messages you want to bring across to give them interest to, again, read on? It's just no different to how you look at a website or an app and give that attention flow, because you want to be able to control how they flow, not assume they're going to read every single line in your resume. So that's something to keep in mind when you're building your resume. Also, they might not be looking at in the same screen or the same size. A lot of it's used in recruitment tools, which might shrink or crop or bring that scale down as well. So the cleaner, the better, the more succinct, and brevity is key in this space.
I agree with everything said. I think with the resume, people ask me like the basics. What is the resume? What is it like? What's the purpose of it? And I think for me, I would describe it like, if I think of my own resume as kind of like the 2-page marketing document of all my achievements and all the things that I think make me stand out. And I've tried to summarize that, this whole career, all these extracurriculars, sorry, I can't say that word, that I've done, and putting it in kind of like a 2-pager, and then choosing and discerning like, okay, is this relevant for this role? Oh, this is more relevant. And I think that's what it means when we say like, you need to like adapt it for the role. Honestly, we have all this like co-pilot, all this AI, the writing, like you have help. But I think having it and knowing that like when you go to interview, like people see that. That's what's representing you outside of the face-to-face interaction that you have. And then treating it kind of like a live document. Like some people are like, ugh, I have to do my resume and I have to do it on the weekend. And then they just like don't want to do it again. And they have this like love, hate, but not really that much love for the process. I say to like university students, like, come on, you use all this time to do one subject, hours and hours. You're doing all-nighters, you're doing group assignments. Like the resume is how you get the first stage of the job. You need to put in some time and some effort into that. And just because it's not a subject and you don't get graded, it doesn't mean that that's not important. Like it will serve you in your career. And I always make edits to my CV, like, I don't know, every 1 year, not every week. That would be weird. But yeah, treat it as a live document, like make it look good and make it like represent you. Like people say like, how do I make mine stand out? I don't know. Does that represent anything to do with like your personality, your interests? Are you conveying your love of coding or product? I've seen a lot of product interviews, product resumes. There's no product on there. It needs to convey your passion through a written document. Okay, I could go on, but I will stop.
Thanks everyone for those answers. I want to ask a couple of quick questions based on I feel like you all touched on this. Some of the most common questions we get are format based. So what I got out of this is it's preferable to have just the one column and just keep your resume black and white. Is that correct? Yeah.
I think it's like you can do whatever you like. I think like
Okay.
because like if you're like a design person, like design me something nice, like show me something in the end to show me something nice and clean. But I've had people who are like, I use like the specific blue of the company. Did you like that? And I was like, I don't know, it might work for someone, but was less important for me. But they're really proud of that. They had like found the exact like specs of the color. It's just tricky, the 2 columns, because sometimes when it goes into the ATS, it might you need to like make the formatting okay. But I would say in early in profession, like length is like 2 is good. Like 1, don't cram it all in there. I know for US companies, they love like a 1-pager, but you don't have to like make the margin so small and the font so small so that I have to like go into the computer and just I'm stressed out. But yeah, I like, this is just a tidbit. I like seeing people's hobbies on there. Some people like feel like, oh, I don't like, but I feel like it conveys something. Like someone will put on there, for example, someone was like a volunteer firefighter. Oh my God, if you're doing something interesting like that, put it on the CV. Okay, I'll stop.
Thanks for that. I kind of want to ask a tangentially related question. So a lot of online applications, and I think Microsoft as well, they have a section for also uploading a cover letter, but it's often optional. So what's your feeling on that? Are cover letters really important? Is it truly optional? How does it compare to the resume?
I can
Lamia,
take.
you go.
Yeah, thanks, Izzy. So at Microsoft, cover letters are not very important. If you feel convinced that you want to add a cover letter, that definitely helps. Just kind of highlight what you want the reader to kind of see. But if there's no section, like if you're applying for a job that has no section for a cover letter, then it's okay to just upload your resume. But if the job description says cover letter optional, I would err on the side of uploading a cover letter just so you have a chance to verbalize what you want the reader to see and understand what you want them to take away from the experience that you've got. So yeah, that would be my 2 cents. But at Microsoft, I don't see a lot of cover letters. People just upload their resumes, and that's fine as well.
Yeah, I guess for me, like as like the manager side, I'm not super interested in the cover letter in terms of like that's a must. If it's there, great, bonus, but I'm going to focus more on the resume.
I agree. It just depends on the role, maybe. Like I'd say resume is like 95%. Like it's your marketing doc, and then cover letter is like your ooh, nice to have. Or like maybe the recruiter will click on your LinkedIn, just have like a ooh, who's this person? How do they present themselves online? I'd say LinkedIn is more like a extra cover letter versus like the physical, like I don't know. People don't really want to read like a whole page of text these days. I'd prefer seeing someone's like online portfolio or like something interesting they've done or their website. Like I think for TechWeek, it's a little bit different.
Definitely agree with the LinkedIn comment.
So since you
Again, sorry,
oh,
Afia, just
sorry.
adding there on the cover letter bit, if you're reaching out as a networking bit to a hiring manager or something, then it would also help to add a cover letter there just to give them context too. So it depends on the situation really and what's expected in the job advert too.
What I wanted to ask is, so we touched on LinkedIn, and I wanted to ask, so based on that, how does LinkedIn kind of come into play when, like, once you've applied online? And what advice do you have for students setting up their LinkedIn as part of the application process? How do you build a strong LinkedIn page?
Good one. I'll start. So think of it in levels. So if I've looked at your resume and I'm interested, and I have a nice handy link on your resume to click on your LinkedIn, and again, less friction. So I've clicked on it. You piqued my interest. What else can you tell me about you to see that you've put in effort to highlight some of these, things that you want to highlight to me? So it could be past projects, past experience, people recommending you for certain skill sets. And you also have the ability to highlight projects overall. I forget what the term is in LinkedIn, but these are the things that I will quickly see on your LinkedIn page and spend another 1 to 2 minutes. And consistency is also key. I think a lot of people look at LinkedIn like it's a copy of my resume, and personally, I don't think that's the case. LinkedIn is your profile, not your resume. So it should be more about highlighting what you want to highlight on top of your resume rather than it's a copy paste of your job responsibilities. I want to see more of your achievements on LinkedIn rather than job responsibility or things like that. I'll throw over to Lamia. I saw you come off mute.
Yeah, thanks, Rami. Just building on what Rami said as well, right? Oftentimes when people apply, we do take a look at their LinkedIn profile too. The better updated it is with a LinkedIn, professional photo, a headline, projects that you're involved in. All of that also helps us get an understanding of their culture fit for the company too. What are the interests? What does a LinkedIn profile supplement or add in addition to their resume? Now, on the other side of it, as an industry recruiter, right, sometimes we do a lot of passive reach outs to candidates. We look for talent if we don't have enough applicants coming through, or we're looking for very niche skills. I go and scout for talent on LinkedIn. So the better updated your LinkedIn profile is, the easier it is for you to get a tap on the shoulder by a recruiter that says, hey, we've got an opening. Would you be interested? Would you like to come and join us? So yeah. So LinkedIn, having an updated LinkedIn profile that calls out all of your achievements is important.
I would just say there's a lot of good LinkedIn profiles. So I would just browse, have a look, and it's all about like, okay, the basis is there. What's my 10%? Then I'm going to add to that. What's specific to me? And just like, I feel like at this age, sometimes people have like a photo and it's like their school formal where they look a little bit sharp. I just say like, if you put as much like, I don't know, 5% of the effort into your LinkedIn profile that you do on kind of your Instagram page or like your TikTok, like you have the skills there. You just have to like redirect it to this like online website, which is your profile. People like to do posts on LinkedIn. So that's the difference to your resume. Like some people like to do posts, oh, I learned this thing. And as recruiters, we look at that and we say like, oh, this person's quite engaged in this community. They're obviously very interested in it. But yeah, I think just to the basics, nice photo, nice little like backdrop, and then there's no like rules on what you need to do on there. Like people are like, oh, what should I write in the about section? I don't know, about you. So I think just put some time aside and just work on it, play with it. You just change it, but it's not meant to be like I treat it as more like a fun thing. But I think that's like, I'm crazy. So that's my approach.
Thank you for that insight. I might just give an opportunity to the audience. If anyone wants to come off mute or ask a question in the chat, right now, I'll wait a few seconds.
Hey, my name's Namha. You guys can call me Num. I was just wondering, like, in your personal resumes at Microsoft, what are some things that you've highlighted that have stood out to your employers or resume screeners?
That's a really good question. I'll start. I think for me, like I guess I'm at a different stage. So for me, it was past projects. So when I write my resume, I've got the benefit of work experience for many years. So for me to differentiate from others when I'm applying, it's not just here is the title, here is the job responsibilities. I've got also an achievements section, and I have that project and I had the benefit of some external videos professionally done, published as well. So I was able to put in these links that caught my manager's eye and the recruiter's eye. And that was something I think differentiated me from the crowd. So that's my answer.
I can go next. For me, it was, I think, having a very clear objective, what it is that I'm looking for in my next role, not having it too verbose, just a clear statement. I'm looking for opportunities in talent acquisition to grow my career, and I'm passionate about diversity and inclusion, something like that. And then in terms of my experience, always bulletizing the points that I want to highlight in terms of like, how many roles I've filled, how quickly I've been able to fill that around, the turnaround times, or the ROI on projects that I've done. Highlighting those, I think, captivates the hiring manager's attention and the recruiter's attention as well.
And I think for me, as I've like thought about my career and like the places that I wanted to work, just being like intentional and kind of that journey and showing through the resume how I want to take them on that journey. So I guess what stands out is like I want to be a tech recruiter and early in profession, and I've worked at Google. These were my accomplishments. I worked at Atlassian. These were my accomplishments. And yeah, I always change like the format of my resume. Like, do you know how people change their profile picture? And they're like, oh, I need like an update. Like sometimes I'll buy like a template on like Etsy, like with my own money, and just be like, oh, what would it look like if it looked like this? Because a lot of nice formats are already available online, or you can make your own, or you can like do different fonts. I just like, I don't know, I want to create a document that I think represents me well and I'm proud of. And yeah, it's a journey.
I can answer this question as well, how it worked for me is I interviewed last year to be an intern. And then when I progressed to a graduate role, I didn't actually need to interview again. So I'll talk about my intern experience. My manager told me that what he found distinguished my resume was that I had a really diverse range of experiences. So at university, I did a software engineering degree, but earlier in my first 2 years of university, I also did a playwriting program, and I really like to write and I really like poetry. I was also president of a robotics team. So he said to me that the different things I had been doing stood out to him, and that's why he had wanted to interview me. So I hope that's insightful as well. Yeah, do we have any other questions from the audience as well? We still have a few minutes to go.
I would just make a comment, Afia, like that is a perfect example of culture fit. If there's no better example than that. So yeah, couldn't say it better myself.
Thank you.
You got the job, Afia.
Yeah.
You got the job.
But it's not like it's pretty hard, the competition when you have been an intern to convert that into becoming a grad hire. There are you're not just competing against the existing interns, you're competing against all the other people who were never interns but now want to be grad hires to become one. Like it really speaks so highly of what an outstanding Microsoftie Afia is. And she showed it in her internship. When you're an intern, you are still at university, you are still trying to finish your course. But so many people felt that Afia was already one of us, already making such a huge contribution in the work that she did. And what Rami said about culture fit, she was absolutely it. It felt like she was one of us even before she was truly working full time at Microsoft. And that kind of candidate is really what we are looking for. Someone who is so that continuous learning mindset, that not waiting to be told what to do, but just jumping in and trying to make a contribution. She's so young, but she is a leader already. And yeah, that's really, you really don't want to hold back on sharing who you are. Don't think that Microsoft is looking for a specific type of person. What we are looking for is for you to show your whole self, because that might be the thing that we are missing. And definitely we needed Afia because we didn't have anyone like her. So, don't be shy, don't be quiet, don't hold back who you are. Show us who you are. That's who we want.
I couldn't agree more. That's a great statement. Afia, I think there's one more question for you in the chat.
Yeah. So Kevin, I did include all of those things in my resume and my LinkedIn. I would actually say my LinkedIn needs a bit of work, but the way I did it on my resume is so for example, I said that I was president of the society, and then in the subpoints, I outlined what my key achievements as president were. So I introduced a new program, we got some new robots, we reached out to more schools, stuff like that. Similar for my work experience. I think that's all we have time for today. A huge thank you to our panelists for coming. We couldn't have run this session without you. And for the audience, next month our session will be in a similar format, but about interviewing. So if that's something you're interested in, please tune in next month, and I hope to see you then. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a nice day.